mission. Free the church, but I ain't Christian. Know some little boys need to get back on.
This is high.
What's up, Jackson?
Man, we got little dude, Atlanta's most feared, man. What is hop out? You ready? Appreciate the sub, man. Appreciate the sub. Yo, Wavo. Oh, appreciate the sub, Julian. Yo, why ain't start? Oh, I'm tripping. What it is, man. Wait, hold up. Technical difficulty real quick. I'm fine. Love y'all reactions. Appreciate that, buddy. What it is, Chasing with Black. Alright, we back in this. Come on.
Yeah, thank you. I know we got the best channel. We do it for y'all.
What's one of the biggest misconceptions you feel like people have about Ledoux if they got one?
I feel like everybody feel like I want to rock them.
Bruh, you see the edit they put?
On my mother, I'm the first nigga on switch on P. I don't give a fuck, man. I just got away from the police a million times.
He was scared, y'all. That nigga looked like he shot.
Led a dangerous high-speed chase last night. Vincent Steele, currently wanted out of the city of Atlanta for murder. You're taking a look at him on your screen right there.
I was running for like 4 miles. What the hell? They don't show all that on there. I keep skipping.
We were running for 4 hours.
Says his team caught up with him on Terra Boulevard, but Steele sped off again, hitting over 100 miles per hour before crashing into another driver in Fayette County. Investigators say he is armed and dangerous. If you see him, do not approach. Call 911 right away.
He 550.
Did you get shot recently? You did.
I lost 2 of my brothers on one day.
As relatives and friends mourned the 1-year anniversary of the teen's murder at a vigil held last night, another shooting.
Free the minds and free the art so they can die. Nigga, this on.
Built in 1953 for struggling black families, the Carver Community Housing Projects, more infamously known as Carver Homes, was once a staple in Atlanta Zone 3. Beloved by many residents, these projects would provide affordable housing for poor families to live comfortably, creating a genuine residence for black families to reside in and grow up and eventually call their home. However, just like most poverty-stricken neighborhoods in America's cities, it wouldn't take long for these housing projects to begin seeing its fair share of petty to violent crimes. You see, as I initially stated in my previous video, Atlanta pre-1996, or the old Atlanta as natives call it, would be the catalyst of what shaped the city into what it is today. The old Atlanta being home to some of the worst public housing in the entire country around this time, having the highest proportion of residents in America living in these projects. It wasn't until a gang of big-time dealers known as the Miami Boys
The Miami
moved from
Boys.
Southern Florida
I'm gonna have to
set
do
up
this
shop in
on my
other states
channel.
and cities for more profit.
The Miami Boys. They don't know about that.
Atlanta being one
That's
of those
the old
cities,
days.
the Miami Boys would establish their drug
Remember I was
trafficking.
telling you about it?
Coming to the Black Mecca by 1986, the city would never be the same again.
It's our first day. We fly, we scout, we don't see nothing. Here's how this happened. A dude named Norman here, cab driver. We don't really know the city. So Norman say, he talking, you know what I'm saying? So he give us a ride. I said, just take me around the ghetto parts. You know what I'm saying, the ghetto parts. So we riding around the different little ghetto parts, you know, looking for a trap. So we
Now, the Miami Boys would essentially be one of the first crews to make huge money from trapping in Atlanta, even before Big Meech.
See,
and
I
DMF
told
would
y'all
come and set
Miami
shop.
been doing it.
However,
They be hating
they're
on me when I
irrelevant to
say
this
shit.
story. But
We the one that
understanding
brought the
beginning of
yacht, the
Atlanta's
choppers.
gnarly gang,
We the one that brought the sticks. Y'all didn't even know what a stick was. Miami brought the sticks. Niggas didn't even have sticks.
Pull out the stick. Yeah, pull out the
They
stick.
didn't have sticks.
and drug
They didn't call it
violence
sticks.
would be crucial to understanding
They call
the
it
story.
AR.
Because amongst the influx of violence caused by the Miami Boys' influence, many of the city's projects would begin to be stomping grounds for dealers. Territory.
Them boys
Atlanta
came
would
to
now
Atlanta and
house some of
took
the worst
over, yo.
projects in the country, with crime rates soaring and unbearable living conditions spreading rapidly around the poverty-ridden streets of the city. Carver Homes was no exception. You see, by 1988, the Carver community would inevitably succumb to the violence perpetrated by the city's dealers that terrorized the poor communities. Carver Homes would also be territory used in the old Atlanta's war on drugs.
I've been told by the chairman that the authority was aware that poor workmanship did exist in some of the units at Carver Homes, but thought that in most cases these units had been repaired. However, I have asked the authority to check each and every apartment at Carver Homes, and am pleased that Chairman Glenn has volunteered to have an independent contractor and/or architect to review the work on the site.
But just like the majority of all the other projects in the city, the Carver Community
What?
Housing projects, just like the
What is
majority
that?
of all,
They changed the name.
They changed it?
They had to, cause what the fuck? That look like by the Spaghetti Junction too. I ain't gonna cap. They had to change the name.
all the other
Glen
projects
and
in the
shit.
city, the Carver Community Housing projects would also be targeted for demolition and redevelopment around the
I remember that
1996 Centennial Olympics that aimed to destroy all public housings in Atlanta and reshape the Mecca into a safer and better place. And by the year 2000, the Carver Community Housing projects would completely be demolished by Atlanta's Housing Authority, a part of the city's plan of shifting from the traditional projects to mixed income
So all
communities,
this for Lil Dude?
creating new homes,
I guess they talk about
retail,
where you from, Carver.
and amenities.
I guess he from there.
And over the next couple of decades, what was formerly known as one of the worst and crime-ridden projects in the city, the Carver Community Housing Projects, or Carver Homes, would gradually begin seeing its redevelopment take shape in the form of its new residential mixed-income housings. They were now known as the Villages at Carver.
Huh.
That's how I feel so.
You see, the Villages at Carver, formerly known as Carver Homes, arguably one of Atlanta's most notorious projects in Zone 3, would be redeveloped in hopes of attracting mixed-income families and getting rid of the crime, violence, and drug wars that had once plagued the community.
That wasn't gonna change
And for a
shit.
decade, it would actually work, within its initial purpose at least. See, when Carver Homes was officially demolished in the
That's a
early
lot of land.
2000s, it would take nearly an entire decade for the Villages at Carver to complete its first set of new housings available to residents, with the full completion being final around the early 2020s. Sadly, the new residents of this renovated area who believed the new Carver Homes would be a great place to raise
No,
their
it ain't gonna
families
change
would soon
nothing.
begin seeing similar, if not sadder, headlines of the same violence as the community's predecessor. Because amongst the many efforts in changing Atlanta from the gritty notoriety it's gained, the city would never suspect the city to eventually evolve into full-fledged gangland with multiple gang wars spilling out across the streets after the murder of infamous rapper Lil Marlowe. As I mentioned in my previous video, Lil Marlowe, or Rude, was the next big rapper coming out of QC, being Lil Baby's best friend. But he was also one of the top members of what would become the most hated clique at the time,
PFK?
PFK, or 3L. The city would never be the same again. The city's gang politics would inevitably change. Drill music was at its peak, with no older figures to genuinely lead the younger generation onto a different path they've chosen. ATL would have a young nigga epidemic, violence in Atlanta spiking, with officials claiming the
You said
beginning of the
young nigga
2020s
epidemic.
became some of the most deadly years and decades for the city.
You know, I heard that shit too,
Atlanta
but it
wasn't
went
a
over
city
my
about
head.
getting money anymore
Because I'm trying to
or
listen.
being player. It was about crashing out, Who was the most throwed?
Why?
Who has the most rank? And in the city's new violent politics regarding tragedies, deaths, and gangs that youths fully don't understand, the new Atlanta was born. And it is within these very circumstances that a young Duke would have to spend his childhood.
We did everybody else.
New Atlanta. I can't wait for their ass to go.
You know all these people, right? Oh, we ain't do Baby Jill because they be blocking her. Oh, Laurent, Baby Kia, Lil Tony, L5.
And it is within these very circumstances
that
that
Anti?
Yeah.
Yeah, we ain't do a murder.
the young Duke would have to spend his childhood growing up in.
Well, how would you say it was coming up in Atlanta for you?
You know, that shit, it was fun. That shit was like crazy. Seen a lot of crazy shit growing up out here.
So you from like the inner city, outside?
Yeah, I'm from Zone 3. Like Pittsburgh, Carver home, shit like that.
Okay, sure.
Now, not a lot is known about Lil Duke's early life, unless you know the nigga personally, but it is said that he was a normal kid with occasional troubles, but didn't really begin getting active until the age of 16, which would roughly be around the year 2023 and 2024. At the peak of the city's drill scene between the young generation, not to mention a tragedy that probably affected a young Duke early. The senseless 2022 murder of a beloved Villages at Carver resident, 15-year-old Terrence Denson, better known to friends and family as Rock. Now, Rock wasn't a gangbanger or even a troubled kid. He had his occasional problems expected of a youth growing up in these areas, but being related to and growing up in a family full of rolling 60s Crips, Rock would become like a brother to many around the Zone 3 area as he was all about his money. Being a beloved resident in the city's Zone 3, it would absolutely break the hearts of the community when on June 21st of 2022, Rock would be chilling in the driver's seat of a car at an apartment complex on the 1900 block of Gardenwood Courts. Apparently, Rock was also with his ex-girlfriend at the time when he would get into an argument with someone at the complex, who would proceed to draw their weapon and shoot Rock multiple times. The suspect would be identified days later, who would turn out to be a 19-year-old member of the Lincoln Blood Gang, Ahmad Royal, who also goes by Maud. Now, Rock's tragic death would be one of many instances that would have probably mentally affected Duke and made him desensitized to the senseless violence occurring around his environment. Having to grow up in this new Atlanta, Duke probably felt like he had no other choice but to jump off the porch to not only make ends meet, but to be accepted in these crime-ridden and gang-infested environments. And it is shortly after this time that Duke would begin getting active in the streets, going on a spree of striking, robberies, and shootings that would garner him a feared reputation in all under a year, granting him Atlanta's Rookie of the Year, becoming perhaps one of the realest 4L rappers in the city. So without further ado, let's go over the many instances that would make Lil Duke arguably Atlanta's most feared.
Wait. It's just now getting started?
Yeah, that was the whole fucking intro. 12 minutes.
That was the intro, bruh?
I was gonna say, damn, all this just to introduce him? Well, they better talk about me like this when shit. Cause my storyline deeper than that. Shit.
Baby Kier. Real name Carrie Jamil Horde blew up amongst Atlanta's
what's his
underground
real
and
name?
drill scene for his erratic. Name Carrie Jamil Horde blew up amongst Atlanta's underground and drill scene for his erratic and throwed off energy he brung to his persona in music and trillers.
I don't know, in the beginning, I was like, what the fuck I'm listening to, but I ended up liking him.
Among the buzz he created from his 2023 hit, Let's Play a Game, where he violently raps over distorted 808s about torturing and decapitating niggas.
And it's crazy,
BK
like, you
would
see
go
how
on
this
shortly.
history right now? I was here to show you this. So you really remember this, low key.
I'm glad you're part of it.
To release another single with D Crashing, which would become mega viral online, pushing him into mainstream conversation. Casual fans, or the average listener, were completely shocked to see what seemed like the prime example of a YN running around rapping the most demonic shit over a beat, with most lyrics, sometimes dissing rivals, going over their heads. However, if you were from Atlanta, then you knew exactly who BK and his crew were dissing, as well as all the situations mentioned in his songs. BK took what was the early Atlanta drill sound from rappers like L5, Lil Perk, and Anti the Menace.
L5
all ops to BK and turned Crash Out
Come
music
here.
to a mere parody. Because
Yeah.
this overly throwed, psyched out Joker voice ass music and energy BK was bringing to his music from mimicking his ops would make him arguably become bigger than all of them. And it is within this very rivalry that Leduc would find himself tangled in between amongst Baby Keir's rise. You see, before today's beef, BK was originally a part of a clique called Fast Money, or Fast Money Homicide, with the initials of the gang being FMH, which is a clique of sex money murdered bloods from Zone 3, Summerhill, also known as The Hill. Eventually going on to click up with Slimes on Cleveland Avenue and YSL's Young Generation, who goes by Y5 or Young Slimes with the 5, and Y5 meant to represent their blood gang affiliation. And if you ask anyone in Fast Money, they'd probably tell you themselves that it was created by Mr. Fast Money himself, Lil Tim.
So what is One Life Fast Money? Talk about the brand, stamp the brand, let the people know and the world know what it means and what the world gonna take now.
Yeah, it's us. It's the family here. We the one who really popping in the city, as you can see. We the one who really doing this shit. One Life Family, that's family brand shit. We trying to make this shit global. Go to the top with this shit.
Now, Fast Money's history is irrelevant to this video, but understanding who they are and how they would eventually get into a heated rivalry with YC, who I stated in my previous video as being the younger renegade, Generation 2 Little Marlo's PFK, or 3L gang, is crucial to understanding this story.
Boy, it's too much fucking
Now, around
gangs.
this time in early 2022, YC was under the 4-3 or Forever Alliance, which was a music label and Gang of the Wicked West's most dangerous cliques. Under the 4-3 Alliance was cliques like YC, Lil Marlo's PFK, DFW, TG5, YNS,
Damn, they signed a whole fucking game
where
in
rappers
Atlanta.
like Anti the Menace began blowing up with his hard-hitting anthems, pioneering the sound of what would become the early stage of ATL drill. And amongst 4-3's rise not only in Atlanta's music scene, but the streets. It became common to see members from different cliques repping other cliques too within the Forever Alliance. So besides YC rapper like the Who Would Be 14 at the time, Lil Perk, who outsiders seen as a badass little kid screaming over anti-beats, toting blicks in his videos with grown men endorsing it, you could see a young L5 at the
Yo,
why
why he explained it like that? Gee, he sound like, oh, what's that shit name? Oh, Reggie 240, bro. He added a whole bunch of...
Who outsiders seen as a badass little kid screaming over anti-beats, toting blicks in his videos with grown men endorsing it. You could see a young L5
Yo, like
started
Reg
his career
240.
repping YC to the fullest. Now, L5 would hail from the DFW gang, which means down for whatever, a gang of Billy Badass Bloods, or 9 Trays, that formed in the Pittsburgh neighborhood and McDaniel Street, but would later go on to set up shop in hoods like Bankhead and Simpson Road on the Wicked West's Zone 1. Eventually getting tied in with Lil Big and his 952 crew, being the younger generation of Famgoon members.
That's
This is how
Ronald
L5, being from Bankhead, would become
So 952
affiliated
is
with
Famgoon.
Goon members. This is how L5, being from Bankhead, would become affiliated with DFW and the other 4-3 young niggas. Now it is unclear what led to the 4-3
young niggas.
Like, why he say it?
alliance
He
beefing
makes
with
it
Fast
interesting.
Money. But it can all be attributed to the senseless violence and politics I mentioned before in this new Atlanta that would have made Lil Duke jump off the porch and get hands-on in the streets as well. Gang politics, school beefs, points to prove. It seemed like a new clique of young niggas started beefing every day. Now, one of the tragedies that would sadly begin retaliated violence and be the first blood shed between Fast Money and the 4-3 crew would happen on March 5th of 2022. Just amongst the rise of 4-3 in the music scene, apparently, 2 groups of teenagers were at a fair near Pryor and Bass Street before an argument would spill out between them.
Oh, I remember that.
Amongst the 2 groups were DFW and TG5 members from 4-3 like L5, G-Baby or G5, and
That was them.
real name Joshua Adetungi, who we'll get into later. And the other group they would get into an argument with consisted of Fast Money members, notably Lil Tim. Sadly, during this argument, weapons would be pulled, leading to a shootout
I
between
remember
the 2
that.
crews, Amongst the shooters would be 19-year-old Marquez Harris and allegedly L5, with Tim shooting back, sadly creepily foreshadowing the next incident between these crews. Turk would get caught between crossfire and tragically pass away on the scene. Now, this incident has been a common discussion and debate in Atlanta, with the juveniles arrested from this incident being L5 and Lil Tim, as the age is described in the news reports also matches up with their age. And since juvenile records aren't public, this has been a rumored discussion. But if we go by their own music as well as rumors in the streets, apparently this incident is what would have L5 diss Lil Tim in his song Shades On, where he calls out Tim for allegedly copying Please behind the walls before Lil Tim would get out after his brother's death. L5 would also be released afterwards and go on a legendary 2023 run before violating probation from this incident, lending him back behind bars.
Rex.
Now, following Turk's tragic passing from DFW, L5 and Tim would be locked up for this period as 4-3 was steadily making waves in the music scene with rappers like Auntie, Rack Baby, who went by 9-5 to Lil Rack at the time, and no one other than Lil Perk, who was making the YC crew infamous and hated in the streets with his dissing. Now, amongst the 4-3 crew making waves, we begin seeing a notable Fast Money and Henchman gang 5L member, Ola Cam, the younger brother of rapper Ola Runt. Now, Cam was a renegade 5L member, a notable Fast Money and Henchman gang 5L member, Ola Cam, the younger brother of rapper Ola Runt. Now, Cam was a renegade 5L member since his brother's gang beefs with everyone. But Cam would also be one of the originators of the Fast Money gang and Lil Tim's right-hand man, as Tim is better off telling you himself.
I'm bro, he in A5, I'm bro Lil Cam.
So tell the world who is Lil Cam and why it meant so much for you to dedicate your project.
Lil Cam, that's my little brother. He the one who, before I was even rapping and everything, that was my right-hand man, my bro. We be on the phone all night, 2, 3 o'clock, I mean, bro. He the one telling me about everything, like we just kicking shit.
What's one thing you want the world to know about your best friend?
Shit, he been probably put on all y'all fault, nigga. He been doing this shit, man. He the one who been slapping. He the one who really started this shit, for real, man. Y'all nigga know this shit.
Now, Cam was an innocent boxer to his family, but a Fast Money and renegade 5L stepper willing to crash out on anyone to his friends. And from the Turk incident involving Cam's best friend Tim, bloodshed would be inevitable, as both crews were wanting to get at one another bad.
But leave you alone, cause I'm cutler, bro. Nigga, fuck everything, nigga. I don't give no fuck about none of that. You will die, nigga. Fuck TG5 and fuck everything you is, boy. My mama, nigga, I'm on some 5L and Fast Money shit, and you, all that playing you doing, bro. Nigga, spend anywhere you.
And around this time, multiple videos would actually surface online of Cam running into and getting caught lacking by 4-3 members. Outnumbered every time, with him making the wise decision to run away.
Look at that boy, look Cam, man. Look at that boy, man. Come on.
Shit.
Look Cal running. Look at that boy.
He get lacking by himself every time. And he a boxer.
There's also to mention that Cam was the one doing the catching as well, because shortly after these videos would release, there would be a shocking video showing Cam pistol whipping DFW and former TG5 member Baby Tay on a busy and occupied street, which would eerily be the same exact location he'd go on to lose his life.
What is that with Father Cal? What on his ass? Don't hit with his ass. Twin, do it to him.
Recommend it. Like what Cal trying to do business, and him and nigga gonna die 2 weeks later, a week later.
And violence between these crews would only escalate as for 3 rappers like Auntie and Lil Perk were becoming more infamous not only on the West, but the entire Atlanta. Perk hollering Free L5 in lots of his songs, including his hit Walk M Down, and then eventually following it up with a full diss song dedicated to Tim, Cam, and the entire Fast Money crew. I Be with P5. Tensions were at an all-time high between Fast Money and 4-3. However, that would all seemingly change on the night of November 26th of 2022. A tragedy that would fundamentally change the young niggas and Atlanta drill as we know it. Now, it is unclear whether
Oh,
the
that was
situation
them two
was
that died at
planned
the Atlanta
or a
station?
mere coincidence.
Go back.
Because during that night,
Damn, I didn't even
whether
know
the
Ola Kim was one of them. I was looking at them like, look at these innocent kids. The whole time, they outside.
I'm finna do TV song.
Atlanta drill as we know it. Now, it is unclear whether this situation was planned or a mere coincidence. Because during that night, a large mob of 4-3 members, including the likes of Lil Perk,
Did we do
Lil
Baby
Rodney,
Hot?
who we'll get into a bit,
Or we heard some of his shit?
Babel Op, Lil Tone,
No, that was the name of somebody's song.
Who? Okay.
I think it was Rack Baby song.
appeared in a video to be getting checked by Lil Tim and his goons for claiming Fast Money K.
We did Lil Perk.
I'm on the Caleb, bro.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Take this all that nothing boy see your face. You fam on the K? You got it, bro. All right, say yeah.
He would indeed be Fast Money K. And then we have 12-year-old Zion Charles, better known as Baby Hot, who would eventually become the Tuka of ATL due to the city's hatred for 4-3. Apparently, they,
swell.
along with other 4-3 members, were hanging out in Atlantic Station, an infamous residential plaza downtown, until they would eventually wander onto the 17th Street Bridge. That's when they spotted Cam riding an electric scooter down the same bridge. Someone would yell out, "There goes Cam," before 4-3 would draw their weapons and open fire instantly on sight. Sadly, 6 teens were struck in the crossfire, including Cam and Baby Hot, who was accidentally shot in the head by his own crew. Cam was 15, Baby Hot was 12. Now, the events that would soon transpire after this tragedy is shocking. However, I won't dive into that in this video. Nonetheless, we begin seeing headlines and news articles of 4-3 member Rodney, who was the alleged gunman that actually shot Cam, and one of the wildest stories in the Atlanta drill scene. Rodney would get done the worst way as former henchman 5L member Draco, who steps for Cam would dig a fucking hole through the wall to launch a violent attack on Rodney with a shank. Now Rodney
Boy, this shit deep.
fucking hole through.
I don't know if that's the real hole, but yo.
Oh, that's a hole, all right.
Hey, God.
That's a deeper hole than any
to launch
hole.
a
in the
violent
city.
attack on Rodney with a shank. Now Rodney would later go on to deny these allegations over and over. But with this event, along with his name ringing behind the walls of dropping a member of the city's most hated gang, Rodney would become a cultural icon in the ATL drill scene for the wrong reasons. Still dissing behind bars, self-proclaimed standing on business. However, this would lead to Lil Duke and Rodney eventually clicking up under the Sex Money Murder Prison Set Step On Shit or SOS, where they would later go on to release ATL drill hit Lockdown Flow. Anyways, behind this beef, Baby Kiar would be put on by Lil Tim, blowing up off his erratic trillers, over-exaggerating and parodying his ops like L5, who got out and went on a legendary 2023 run with his tape No More Free. L5, BK, and Tim would put the Fast Money crew on and eventually become some of the most infamous young niggas on the city's south, eventually getting locked in with steppers around the area like Duke. Apparently, Duke wasn't as feared as he is today, because rumors quickly spread that Baby Kier was treating Duke like Lil Bro and allowed one of his Fast Money goons to slime Duke out for his PlayStation 5.
Oh, that's why
Duke wasn't feeling it.
PlayStation
He was
5.
tired of being treated like a goofy. So one night, Duke would ask BK, could he hold his gun, leading to one of the most iconic moments in this beef.
Nigga, bitch, don't bring your shit back. Oh, you ain't got no gun. I get my shit. I'm on bush. I get my shit, dog. Oh, leave him alone.
Can I hold it, man?
My shit. No, bro. Bro, what you doing? I'm your partner. What the fuck? Nigga, no, I didn't. Bro, get my shit.
Now, Duke was so petty from this situation that he featured that exact audio clip of him allegedly backdooring BK in an entire diss song dedicated to him and his Fast Money crew called Get Back, which would do nothing but boost his fear and credibility. However, the situation would rather take a darker turn as we find out that Duke might have indeed allegedly shot BK and his homeboy at the time, Day One Willie. As Baby Kier confirms he's been shot, and Duke later going on to drop a diss song, Who Got Popped, where the first lyrics are, eerily BK and Willie had both been shot, before going on to the solar cam.
Wait.
They had both been shot before going on to the solar cam.
Willie, he got BK, he got Millie, he got Chase. Well, the camera, he got draw. They did Marlo at the Worldway Highway, CCG the car.
What app that was?
Recently, because I've seen you in one of the.
Okay. That's when TikTok was born, huh?
Did you get shot recently? Because I've seen you in one of the music videos, and your shoulder was all bandaged up and shit. What was that?
I remember
about?
that.
Yeah, that's it.
You did. How many times?
But whatever the case was, Duke would officially choose his side in this ongoing rivalry, becoming close with the K4K side, or Lil Rodney's side in the 4-3 alliance, as eventually, as of today, the 4-3 crew would have a massive fallout. However, ever since Duke's beef with Fast Money began, it seemed like his short career as Atlanta's bogeyman would only escalate and eventually come to an end. As the villagers at Carver was now a target for rival gangs, Duke eventually going on a reign of terror in the streets that would eventually have him taken under the wing of 4L's proclaimed top stepper, who allegedly murdered Lil Marlo, Baby Drill, and of course taking the GSP on rides that would eventually reveal him of being on a
So
run
he
for
was
murder.
the one that killed Lil Marlo?
That's what they said. He just. That's how he got his name. He was 17.
I did hear about Baby.
On
Baby
June
Drill.
19th of 2022, just 5 months before Baby Hot and Ola Cam was tragically killed, Atlanta police responded to reports of a person shot at the villagers at Carver complex on Maury Avenue around 12:25 p.m. When police arrived, they found 2 teenagers suffering from gunshot wounds. Both were pronounced dead at the scene. Police have identified them as 18-year-old Neerick Olds and 17-year-old Jamarcase McCrary, better known to friends and family as Fat and Reckless, who we would come to find out both repped a one-gang set of the 4L Alliance, made notorious by rappers like 21 Savage, Young Nudie, and Baby Drill. Now, as I mentioned in my previous video, the 4L Alliance is a gang of bloods that originally formed on and ran the East Side, with many subsets and cliques formed under them. However, we would learn that the villagers at Carver, infamously known as Carver Homes, would become a blood-dominated hood, with 4L making these new Carver Homes their territory. This new generation 4L clique formed would go by Cleanup Crew. And if you asked anyone close to Fat and Reckless, they'd probably tell you themselves that they both were big cleanup.
Cleanup Crew, that's the clique, that's rap shit, that's just the bro.
Hell no, that shit family.
Family, okay, yeah. So that shit.
Like, so we get like the shit we started with our bro, like, and then just like, this shit, they ain't here no more. So this shit, they living through us.
They ain't here no more. You had some people in the crew who passed away?
Yeah. I lost 2 of my brothers on one day. And then I lost another brother a couple days after that.
As you can also see in throwback videos, Duke chilling with Reckless, dissing arguably Atlanta's most hated young nigga that got shot by YC's Lil Drabo, Lil Deco, even though they used to be clicked together under 4-3 before the fallout. Now the killer behind Fat and Reckless would turn out to be 18-year Darshay Barnes Jr. After cameras caught his ass in 4K running away from the crime scene,
In 4K.
police soon issuing a warrant for his arrest. Now the deaths of Fat and Reckless would be a tragedy that would not only affect Duke mentally, but it is from this very incident where we begin seeing deadly headlines in this new Carver Homes. The villagers at Carver unfortunately regressing to the same violence as once before. But instead of being territory fought over for drugs and turf, it would become a haven of gang banging and death. Because it is unclear what really caused this next situation to, but a year later after their senseless deaths on June 19th of 2023. A vigil will be thrown in remembrance of Fat and Reckless by their community, before things would suddenly escalate to deadly gunfire. As officers responded to the 200 block of Maury Avenue after reports of a shooting around 6:30 p.m. Residents of the villages of Carver would come to complete shock to find out 2 other teens were shot again during a vigil of 2 previous teens killed, with one of the teens shot in the 2023 incident unfortunately passing away, who would turn out to be 18-year-old Quentin Burgess, also known as Red. Now the shooters would quickly be identified again, as they would also be caught in 4K. With a PD and investigators going on to release it to help with their arrests, and soon apprehending the shooting suspects whose names weren't released to the public.
These niggas don't be
However,
giving a fuck,
the streets
bro.
knew.
All these cameras going around. They be forgetting it's cameras, bro.
Blazers on the city's south, whose younger generation goes by Smack 5 Gang, M5, or Smack 5 Gang M5, who would eventually grant bail for this situation and gain a similar feared notoriety as Duke in the coming years. You see, Red was a feared shooter of the Goodfellas Mob, or GF Mob Gang, who I mentioned in my previous video as being the original Jailborn Street Gang repped by Lil Malo's PFK before they fell out. Red, who would eventually go on to click up with a crew of young niggas from Stone Mountain Central Drive called High Crew on the east side. Now things would rather take a darker turn as you go down the rabbit hole, discovering that Red might have died attempting to slide on anyone affiliated with Duke's crew, because a couple hours before he was tragically killed, Red would post a disturbing image on his story reading simply, "Hell," or jail, a war cry, a vow that would soon be shouted out by other members of his crew before sliding. Like the Time I Crew rapper La Slide would post something disturbingly similar after he posted himself getting spine torn by a 310 gang rapper and adolescent assassin. Doo-wop. Now, as I stated previously,
he just
Smack
got
5 Gangs M5.
He just got locked up again for another murder, and we finna do doo-wop too. Doo-wop coming up.
Now, as I stated previously, Smacked 5 Gangs M5.
He got locked
would
up
go
today
on to
for
beat
another
the body
murder,
of
right?
Red as he would post his paperwork and celebrating shortly after he got out. And what would come next would be shocking, as M5 would go on to pursue music with this new reputation, where he disses and mentions the murder of Red subliminally multiple times, like in his infamous song Do or Die, where he mentions that there's a stain in Carver homes, before going on to allegedly describe how Red got killed, saying he got hit in the shoulder, then cried, or in his track to Glock's One Demon. The title itself directly a diss to Red, who infamously went by to Glock's, which would eerily be what he was sliding with, and ultimately ended up dying with, as seen in a picture captured at the scene that is too graphic to show on YouTube, where M5 declares that he's the real 2 Glocks 1 Demon, and that Red was the fake one. Now all of this just shows you the tragedy of what Duke's Hood, the villages at Carver, would become, and how him and his gang's actions in the streets would make the area one of the deadliest
There's
blocks
so much
in the city's
niggas,
zone
I
3.
can't even keep up for real. Whew, these niggas dying over shit.
From whether it's robbing Lil Dico, Atlanta's most hated, running off on the TG Hellraiser, L5 himself, or even allegedly robbing YouTuber Ungato Matthew, it's no doubt that Duke has garnered
This man Lil Duke robbed Ungato Matthew?
TG Hellraiser, L5 himself, or even allegedly robbing YouTuber Ungato
Yo,
Matthew.
this kid.
It's no doubt that Duke has garnered a notorious reputation.
Why he robbed
Ungato
Ungato Matthew though?
What's one of the biggest misconceptions you feel like people have about Lil Duke, if they got one? Cause Lil Duke poppin', so like, what's one misconception you think that folk may have about Lil Duke?
I feel like everybody feel like I want to rob them. Real shit.
Like, I feel like you're out there.
Like, I don't want to rob everybody, man.
Duke's troubled history of robbing some of the most poppin' names in the city would only be the groundwork for the amount of trouble he would begin getting into in the coming years. Because on November 2nd of 2024, officers responded to the area of Ted Turner
know a
Drive
restaurant
and
called
John
Lost in
Portman
Sauce?
Boulevard.
Who?
A restaurant called Lost in Sauce. That's the restaurant that he got locked up at.
Where they
today. He
received
caught somebody.
reports of several vehicles being broke into.
He
And
caught
during the
somebody what?
investigation, APD got
And
surveillance
killed
video
them?
that showed the suspects in the
He killed somebody today?
Yes.
I thought he already killed the person he got caught today.
Oh, I don't know.
2016 Chevy Silverado breaking into multiple
Little dude.
cars before driving away. Police shared a be on the lookout notice with other officers in the area. And that's
So
when things
these
would
the
go
young
wrong
niggas
for
breaking
Dookie.
into people's shit.
Police were able to quickly locate the vehicle
Motherfuckers.
via aviation unit, where they spotted it driving recklessly away from the scene. What comes next would be probably one of Duke's most iconic moments, as he then decides to bail out the vehicle, eventually stumbling upon train tracks.
Look, look,
I know he's tired, bro. I think I reacted to this on screen.
look. That boy don't know where he headed to. Look, he tired. Look, look, look.
I know he's tired.
Now he got.
The police officer didn't catch him, though.
They didn't?
When I was watching it, they didn't catch him.
Damn, that boy can't even hold himself up. He lost about 10 miles falling down. Look, he don't know where to go no more. That boy jumped over the whole train when he could have just cut through the middle of a train.
And then he got caught back here.
Fuck on the ground. Put your fuck
Damn, that's where he fell and never got back up.
He was tired.
Damn, on the rocks.
Now you want to get him custody? Get him custody right now. We'll find you.
Dog, he wasn't gonna be able to keep up with the helicopters, bro.
Can you take the hoodie off?
He said, "Can you take the hoodie off?"
We don't need rocks, bro. I'm about to get you up. You can't breathe if you're running, man.
I think I seen this somewhere.
The police officer said, I couldn't breathe because you ready, man.
What is on you?
Is that location where he's detained in?
What, relocate? Put the AC on for you. I'll be down. Yeah. But come on.
At least they giving him AC.
Double lock the handcuffs because I will close on your wrist, alright?
You can't take them all while I'm here?
Don't make no damn sense.
Now Duke would soon be released from jail from this incident, ultimately ending up being caught with 7 charges, including 2 felonies. But after the video was released, Duke was at the height of his notoriety, and this would only make him more valid in the eyes of the criminals around him, as he would later go live on Instagram explaining the entire situation to his fans and friends.
Hitting up the state, niggas say what they want to, gang. I'm in a dually, I just sit in the car, gang. What the hell? Like 4 guns. Bro just gave you up, yeah, hell yeah. I was running for like 4 miles, what the hell? They don't show all that on there. They keep skipping the game.
Shit, you keep falling, gang.
However, Duke's careless acts would fortunately come to a halt as not even 4 months after his arrest.
So
would
he
encounter
one of
the
them
police
niggas
again,
breaking into shit.
but this time with serious consequences, as the law were now onto him. Because on February 1st of 2025, the APD would put out a notice where during a traffic stop on Terra Boulevard, Duke would then take the police on an intense high-speed chase, where it was revealed that Duke was responsible for the murder of 27-year-old Zachary Rainwater, who was tragically found dead inside a blue Ford Fiesta in Zone 3's Pittsburgh area after being shot several times. That occurred on September 15 of 2024.
Police say led a dangerous high-speed chase last night. Vincent Steele, currently wanted out of the city of Atlanta for murder. You're taking a look at him on your screen right there.
You know how crazy
We're
that
told
is
Georgia
to see
State
this as a
Patrol
mother?
first tried to stop Steele in Atlanta, but he fled to Clayton County. Sheriff Levon Allen says his team caught up with him on Terra Boulevard, but Steele sped off again, hitting over 100 miles per hour before crashing into another driver in Fayette County. Investigators say he is armed and dangerous. If you see him, do not approach. Call 911 right away.
And with Duke's new reputation of not just being a striker and robber, but even a feared killer, we begin to see more rumors. Allegations with Duke's name popping up in other murders. However, there's no evidence for any of that and are just speculation. Nonetheless, 4 months later, publicly on the run from murder and escaping GSP, which is no easy feat, Duke would go on to release a music video for his song Voodoo, where he goes on to mention that he's done striking or breaking into cars as he's on to scamming, following on to taunt the Atlanta police, actively looking for him, reenacting the chase where he was caught after breaking into cars, and after that, you'd barely see him on any social media platforms, as he was actively avoiding law until this very day. Now all of this would culminate Duke into becoming known as Atlanta's very own TK, an Arlington, Texas-based rapper, who blew up with a similar case to Duke, committing murder while going on the run and leaving videos. Hints for the police, merely taunting them. But fortunately for Duke, he's yet to be caught for his crimes, as Lord only knows the punishment that waits for him if he ever does face justice. So as of 2026, Lil Duke might actually be Atlanta's most feared.
So y'all think he's still in Atlanta?
I mean, he just dropped that video, 6'7".
I'm saying that don't mean he's still in Atlanta. That'd be crazy to still be here knowing they looking for you. You gotta leave the whole country at this point.
So how you feel about that?
Them niggas was killing each other for nothing. But shit. They made it seem like he was really, really, really crashed out. I done seen worse than that. But I guess.
Who's worse?
Crash out. Huh?
Who's worse?
Who's worse?
Yeah.
Shit, I know people personally that's worse.
Atlanta?
Dade County for real.
But we talk about Atlanta, dude.
I'm talking about in general. I ain't just talking about Atlanta. Atlanta wasn't the worst. Atlanta just started getting.
But I'm talking about this video specifically.
Who's worse in Atlanta?
Yeah.
There's niggas out there worse, bro. He done caught a few bodies, but this nigga that's probably in 10 hats right now, we don't even know. But they made it seem like it was like Chicago type shit, like on some. They made it seem like he was like Lil Jeff.
Yeah, I knew he was gonna say that.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I was saying.
They made it seem like he was on a Lil Jeff type shit, but he was on a Lil TK type shit. Caught a body, whatever, and on the run. So that made it what it is, to be honest. Boy, when they get that motherfucker, it's over with.
They not finna get him, bro.
I don't want to say I hope not, but they ain't got shit to do with me. Y'all niggas be wildin'.
Dude, y'all went next.
Turn yourself in, Lil Duke. I'm just playing.
I'm not. He turned himself in. He tripping. I tell him that you about to get off.
Nah, don't turn yourself in. I was just talking shit.
No, tell him that you about to get off.
Hey, look, we got on stream to do this, documentary with y'all on live. We not doing no music tonight. So I don't want y'all to get a little too excited. Foreign might stay. Well, I'm not doing no music reaction tonight. I got shit to do. Y'all is not about to keep me up all night. I already know how y'all play. So y'all go ahead and enjoy Foreign for the night. And me, I'm out of here. Out of here. But you gotta do a Jadis part 2. Yeah.
What's up with his case? Tell me about his case right now.
He locked up?
It depends on his case, cause remember I reacted to his case stuff and I ain't like the situation he was in. That's the real reason why I ain't never do the part 2. Alright, man. I'm gonna end the stream, let her go, and I'm gonna be back at 11. I'm starting the stream back at 11, though. I'm gonna be here by myself, though.
If he don't come back at 11, hold him accountable. I said it.